prime time. I will now move on to what you've heard from Segun Sowunmi and his views. Now, let's hear from my guest analyst, Professor Abiodun Adeniyi, who is of the School of Postgraduate Studies, Baze University here in Abuja, to help us understand what actually my guest had to say. Thank you so much, Prof. Well,
good to see you.
Nigeria's major opposition seems to be going into a huge crisis with this court case, and I had to ask why they are not. My guest is not exploring the internal conflict resolution mechanism. They said he had done, and I mean, it looks like nothing much is happening. Why is it pretty difficult for major opposition leader Atiku Abubakar to actually sit with party leaders and ensure that the party's constitution is obeyed?
Very tough one. You know, the interests are deep-seated, you know, and in a kind of system, you do not expect that there will be a very strong opposition considering the orientation of our politics, you know. There's still a lot of prebendalism, materialism around the kind of politics that we play. Segun Sowunmi is probably demonstrating himself or projecting himself as a PDP patriot, concerned about the progress of the party that has been lethargic over the years, failing in its role somewhat as an opposition, and having failed in the last 3 elections, and of course, without any feature of having a bite, you know, like it used to have at the dawn of our democracy, you know. So the concern is welcome, you know, trying to propel them to do things correctly, you know, convey the NEC meeting, which is the highest organ, so that they can get things moving, steady the ship again ahead of the general election, of course, or rather to deal with elections that are going to come before the main election. And some other things that they could be doing, particularly providing alternative views, you know, alternative ideas to the ruling party, the APC that is. But, well, that's his own move. It's a welcome development on his part, shows some courage, and of course, he's a voluble person, no doubt, a demonstrated orator. Yeah. But beyond that, again, is the question of how you want to resort to court to resolve a political crisis, or to resolve what should actually happen at the level of consensus building. You know, if you look at the sociology of litigation, you know, matters that are resolved through a third party, or particularly to the court system, can only bring about, you know, the desired harmony at the end of the day, because there will still be some bad blood at the end of the day. It doesn't matter how the case pans out, you know. Whichever way the judgment goes, if it is concluded anyway, if it is concluded, there will still be bad blood, you know, and a political party arrangement is not where you expect bad blood to reign, you know. So ordinarily, resort to court shouldn't have been the option for Segun Sowunmi, but probably he has thought very critically, you know, around all the options, and he thought that he should just go to court to ginger these people to do something fundamental. But somehow, what I think, if you ask me how I think they can resolve their crisis, again, there are some very powerful individuals in PDP that you can probably not talk to, or that they've offended in the past, and they are finding them irreconcilable. You know, individuals with fundamental interests, they've got very ballooned egos, you know, they've got the war chests, again, in parentheses, like I like to say sometimes, you know, and they are finding it difficult to back down for themselves, you know, to tolerate each other, to come to an understanding. And there are 2 of them here that you can actually mention. There are 2 people that can bring about peace in this party. You know, former Vice President, the former Vice President Atiku Abubakar, and of course, former Governor of Rivers State, FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike, you know. If they come, it's either they reconcile and decide to rebuild the party, you know, forget about the past. How about someone like
former Senate President David Mark come in? Because people
say but these 2, David Mark is a consensus builder. You know, would rather come as a mediator, you know, rather he's been very deft in politics over the years. But it's not even it's not in the middle of the conflict. But those who are immediately in the middle of the conflict. Yeah, but I mean a voice that can actually be listened to by all these groups. To bring these 2 together would rather involve a personality like David Mark. But it's either you get Atiku and Vice President Atiku and Wike together, or you expel the 2 of them from the party. Then that would be a tough one. Yeah, maybe, but that's the other extreme. But the thing is to find a way of reconciling them or getting them to reconcile, to forget the past and move forward. Otherwise, they will just continue like this. And of course, you know what it means for the future of their party. They will hardly be able to win
the
any
victory
major
of
election.
the APC
opposition.
always.
Yeah, that's right.
Now, Prof, as we try to continue in this conversation, there's one thing that's I really asked my guests, if these were not grand designs to actually divide the PDP and eventually go into the sort of mega opposition that we hear that some of these leaders are trying to form, because we hear Atiku, Peter Obi, and maybe NMPP, they are trying to build some sort of alliance, although all these parties have individually denounced it. But there are some people who feel that there could be that move, while a section of PDP is saying that no, this party must remain as PDP. It mustn't change color, change name or anything. Yeah. You think there are those grand designs?
You know, when moves like this come up in a political party, there will be conspiracy theories, you know. I don't believe that Segun Somi is being used. He's an agitator, naturally.
He's been visiting Peter Obi, he's been visiting former President
well,
Buhari.
Even before the crisis, he was friendly with many politicians across the divides, you know, from what we know about him. He was very close to the governor of Kogi State, you know, irrespective of he's been a member of the PDP. So it can be, and most of these political parties we have also said several times that they're just special purpose vehicles. You know, you need to see these politicians when they are not singing
in
political tunes. Yes, you know. So I don't believe that he's just trying to make a statement, you know. And again, I don't think that somebody can deliberately want to divide the PDP. You know, I think it has already imploded. You know, and what it needs is for an elevated person somewhere. Like you mentioned, former Senate President David Mark, you know, even former Senate President too, Bukola Saraki. These are figures that can unite the party. They cut across the divides. You know, they are very friendly with all the warring factions. If they are determined, I think they can bring about some peace so that the party can regain its potency. You know.
Yeah, and the PDP has several of them. Former Senate President Ayim Pius Anyim, former Senate President Adolphus Wabara, and all of that.
And it's an illustrious party. Remember that how the G34, 37, you know, how they came about. A party founded by former Vice President Alex Ikweme, the great Solomon La, you know, personalities like that, and the rest of power from the military, you know. So they laid the foundation for this democracy, and you don't want that kind of legacy to be washed away, you know, on the altar of, you know, crises that they cannot resolve, you know. I mean, politicians are usually deft, so they can be good at resolving crises. I'm wondering why this has become intractable, and that's why I'm saying that it's just the crisis continue to revolve around some key personalities.
Yeah, maybe some people also profiting from the crisis.
Some key personalities that
and using it as a sort of currency with the governing APC. I mean, using it through the back door. But as we try to conclude this conversation, Prof, had asked Segun Showumi if he wasn't on an adventure himself, wanting to maybe leave the PDP, but looking for a way where the party would discipline him, and he used that as an excuse to go to the APC. Because we saw Daniel Bwala, who used to be an Atiku spokesperson, actually leaving and going to the APC. What does it look actually like some Atiku men actually leaving him behind?
Well, I'm not going to be surprised if Segun leaves. You know, first of all, he has the liberty, he has the right. You know, association is free. You know, but the only thing that we keep talking about is that why can't we find principles amongst our politicians? And what is it that is preventing them from being resolute, you know, from being consistent, and not to be behaving like the barber's chair? You know, they just roll anywhere that they think they should roll to, you know, irrespective of what people be mindful of what people will think about them or the kind of image that they want to portray, even as individuals. So I'm not going to be surprised if he moves, but he wasn't definitive really on whether he wants to move. Yeah, I mean,
it's the same thing with Bwala. He wasn't definitive. That's right. But you know, with the moves that are moving to APC leaders, people are beginning to see a pattern.
And you see, what I also discovered is that those who move easily are actually those who are very good in talking. You know, they can explain themselves But in explaining themselves, sometimes with greatest respect, they take away a lot of things from some of the. You see, they just you just see form. There's no substance, you know, at the end of the day, because people see through the many statements they are making to justify their move. You know, it doesn't. It sometimes look unreasonable, and you begin to wonder why.
Yeah, you're a communication scholar.
Yes.
When you see
So
spokesmen of you know, presidential campaigns moving flip-flop here and there, I mean, what do you make of those kind of things? Because someone like Femi Fani-Kayode, we saw him doing
look at them.
so
I just said
much of all of that.
These are people that are naturally gifted with the they've got the gift of the gap. Yeah, you know, their locution is excellent. Very intelligent people. You know, and when they talk, you know, you just admire that gift, you know, and you thank God for them because of their rhetorical prowess. I don't want to mention, I don't like mentioning names, but just look at them, you know, and at the end of the day, they try to explain to you why they left. But in giving those explanations, you can still see through the fact that there's some kind of inadequacy at the level of principle, with the greatest respect. And because they have admirers, people who respect their prowess, you will have wanted some level of consistency so that the respect you have for them, the reputation you have for them, can be sustained without you necessarily asking some questions, you know, about their sense of, you know, decency, you know, so to say.
All right, Professor Abiodun Adeniyi is an Arise analyst, and of course, is of the School of Postgraduate Studies, Baze University here in the nation's capital, Abuja. We must thank you immensely for helping us to shed more light on this. And of course, we've had our guest earlier on, Segun Sowunmi, who is has taken the People's Democratic Party, Nigeria's major opposition party and former governing party, to court for failure, according to him, of the National Working Committee to actually organize the National Executive Committee meetings, NEC, which is the second highest decision-making organ of the party after the National Convention. Well, we've had an explanation from Prof here, who must thank you once again. That's how it's been for this edition of Arise Primetime. Do join us again tomorrow. From me and the entire team here in Abuja, goodbye and thank you for watching. I'm Somna Sambo.